Hello everybody, my name is Ian with Ardmore Construction, and in today's video I will be showing you guys how to properly install a window step by step. If you guys were here with us on our last video, I showed you guys how to frame the wall behind me, and that wall was framed so we could put a window into it. Lastly, you guys, we are dropping educational content every single week to this YouTube channel, so turn on your notifications and click the subscribe button. If you guys want content every single day, we are dropping content every day on our Instagram. The link will be in the description. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So before we can even get into step one, you need to know the measurements of these two things. That is going to be your window measurements and your RO measurements. RO stands for rough opening, and that is where the window will be inserted. You measure from mainframe end to end for width. I know this is 17.5 inches, so I need 18.5 inches for the width on this. Make sure when you're using your tape measure, you do not connect it to the nail fin, and you're connecting it to the mainframe of the window and bringing it end to end and not getting the measurements for nail fin to nail fin. All right, so for step number one, you're gonna need a good set of eyeballs and a utility knife. The first part of step number one is going to be inspecting the framing where your window is going to be installed. That includes the framing of the header, the king stud, the support stud, and the sill. You are looking for wet or rotted wood. If you have wet wood and it's not rotting, you can let it dry, but personally, I always reframe it. If you have any rotted wood at all, you absolutely need to reframe it. This normally happens when you have an older home, but if you're working on a new con project, you typically don't see any rotting wood. Along with step number one is going to be prepping the house wrap. Like you see here, I cut it into an X pattern, followed the X pattern above the header about 3 to 4 inches and tacked it up on top. You're going to be needing that house wrap later on in the window installation process. All right, so now that we have step number one complete, it's time to move into step number two, and that is going to be flashing the bottom sill of your window. Right here, I am using DuPont flashing tape. So for this method, I like taking the tape and basically cutting it in half with the sill and running it about the width of the tape back, so about 3 inches to 4 inches. So what I will do is I will stick this tape here, and then you get to rubbing the tape out. They have rollers for this, or you could use the tape roll itself. So for this portion here, I'm gonna take my utility knife, find the corner of the RO, and cut it like an X. So now that we have gotten our bottommost part of flashing tape on, we need to properly flash the corners of where the window will be installed. So now that we have flashed the bottom portion of the window, now it is time to start adding some caulking, window caulking, about a 1/2 inch all the way around the RO, so it's going to be hitting the nail flanges when we insert the window. So let's go ahead and put some caulking around this RO. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna use the finger trick, and again, I'm gonna stick to 1/2 inch. We're gonna put our caulking down, and I'm using colored caulking so you guys can see where I'm laying the bead. All right, so we're ready to install the window. This is your time now to grab your screwdriver, your screws, and your level, because this process can get a little hectic. Since this window is smaller, I can get by just sliding it in like so. So what I just did was I just put a tack screw in, and I'm gonna put one in on the other side because I'm installing this by myself, so I can go on the inside, and I'll show you what I'm gonna do on the inside. So let's get this other tack screw in. So now that we have our tack screw in, this part is pretty crucial. So we have our tack screw in, so it's pretty malleable yet. And the reason why I like a 1/2 inch is because my fingers are basically a 1/4 inch. So I can go in top to bottom, and you want the spacing in between each spacing to be the same on each side. So that feels good, and that feels good there. If you have two people, this is what the inside guy is going to be doing before you start putting the level on there to screw. So now that we have our spacings good, we have our 2 tack screws. That's gonna make this a lot more movable. Let's start plumbing and leveling this out. The bottom is level, that's good to go. Let's check this side. The horizontal sides are good to go as well. That means it's time to screw it off. So now that we're screwing off the window, it's always important to continually checking the level. Another important thing is when you're screwing off your screws, they're not hanging out. You want to make sure those screws are going to be as flush as possible to the nail fin and the wall. You don't want anything extra laying around there that's going to eventually leave gaps in your nail fin. So now we have completely screwed this window into the wall. It is now time to perform your open and close pinky inspection. Pinky up, pinky down. If you can open the window with your pinkies and it's level, then you are good to get to this next step, which is going to be flashing this window in. So let's go ahead and start flashing the window in. So when it comes to flashing in the vertical sides of your window, you're going to want to make sure that the outermost edge of your flashing tape is touching and almost basically rolling into the main frame portion of your window here. You don't want to have any gaps. And again, I'm going to say this one more time. It is absolutely crucial that you roll your flashing tape out and you are really getting it pressed in there and it is all making good contact. This is what's going to help seal your window in and protect the energy efficiency of your window if you're buying energy efficient windows. So now that we have completely flashed and rolled in our flashing tape, now it is time to take care of this house wrap, and I'll show you exactly how to do that. So it looks like we have some excess here. So what I'm simply going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and cut that off, and I'm going to grab some of this extra flashing tape and run it up along the seams here. And there we have it. Now we have completely finished flashing and doing everything we need to do when it comes to installing the window from the exterior side. Let's go ahead to the interior side and finish up the rest of the steps we have in there. So now we're on the finishing steps. The window opens and closes properly with ease with the pinky test. We have completely plumbed and leveled this window out. We have flashed this window in. It is airtight. It is ready for whatever comes its way, whether it's warm weather or cold weather. Now it is time to really seal it in. What I have here is window and door foam, and that's what we'll be inserting into the gaps right here. Well, anywho, I grabbed a really old can of this stuff off the shelf and it's giving me a hard time. You guys get the drift. You are going to go ahead and spray this foam into those gaps there. This stuff can get pretty messy, so use it with caution. Just make sure you're really insulating those gaps. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have officially completed the install of this video step by step. I hope it was detailed enough for you guys to feel a little bit more confident if you guys got to tackle a window installation in your near future. If you guys need somebody to install your windows, feel free to call the pros at Ardmore Construction. Our link's going to be in the bio. Other than that, you guys, our next video is going to be putting siding on this wall. So if you guys want to see us put some siding on this wall, turn on your notifications and we'll be dropping that video next week. Until then, I'll see you guys on the flip side.